Hey there, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube and joining us on our website and inside our weather app. I'm Don Shipman with Atlanta News First, and we have a look at your Saturday morning top stories and a look at your First Alert forecast. And let me tell you, when we have First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin come up here and give you the forecast, you're really going to enjoy the weekend, but there is a First Alert weather day in store for the week to come on Wednesday. He's going to be detailing some of the timing on that, the early indications of what that timing is going to be for some storms. That's coming up in just a moment, but first I do want to get you updated on some of your top stories right here, and we're going to start with this right here, because I know that a lot of you have been talking about this, and if I can make this go and play out, I want to show you this, because today marks 3 weeks since 2 boaters went missing on Lake Oconee. The Putnam County Sheriff said earlier this week that recovery crews are focusing a lot of their attention, their search, in a 2 to 3 acre area of the lake, and that's because cadaver dogs were basically indicating that that's where the body may have went under the water. They're looking for educator and track coach Greg Jones. Now you remember this. Jones and his fiancée, Jocelyn Wilson, they vanished while on the water on February 8th. Wilson's body was found the next day. We have a big update that I want to show you here on this story right here. It is really a sad story out of DeKalb County, but the update is on this accident involving a 3-year-old that was killed in this crash in DeKalb. Happened last night at the intersection of North Harrison Road and Central Drive, right outside the Golden Gate Townhomes. Here's what we're learning from DeKalb Police. This is a new update that came in within the last 30 minutes or so, and they're saying that this involved a SUV with 3 people inside and a dirt bike with 3 people on that dirt bike, including that 3-year-old on that dirt bike. Well, the dirt bike was going down the road and the SUV turned left. The dirt bike ended up slamming into the passenger side, but DeKalb police are saying that the dirt bike didn't have any headlight on it, so perhaps the driver of that vehicle just didn't see that dirt bike. So really a sad situation, a 3-year-old being killed in that crash. Of course, there's a big investigation into exactly how this happened, what led up to all of this. We're still working to find out and determine if anyone is going to be charged, if tickets were given out in this case, excuse me. We've been talking a lot about the bird flu here in the newscasts for several weeks now, months really. And this is something interesting. Egg prices might be skyrocketing because of the bird flu, but the Georgia Department of Agriculture says that the state, Georgia, is a model for bird flu prevention. Here's why. The department says that 166 million birds have been affected since the outbreak began, but only 210,000 birds were sick here in Georgia. And you know this, right now, the average price of a dozen of eggs here in the U.S., just under $5 at $4.95. And officials here in Georgia saying, yes, it's good news for Georgia in the sense that they're doing a good job at keeping this at bay. But bottom line, it's still impacting so many of us here in the state. And that, of course, being the fact that those egg prices are skyrocketing close to $5 a dozen. This right here is video from last year, but I wanted to show it to you because it illustrates what is going to be happening, actually happening right now in with the Atlanta Hawks working to give back with CareSource and the Latin American Association. They're getting food to people who need it. They expect to give more than 350 families fresh produce and culturally relevant food items. Like I mentioned, this is a video from the distribution last year, and you can see the long line of cars last year. They're expecting the same thing today, which is, again, happening right now that got underway. They're expecting the same thing because everything is so expensive right now. We talked about eggs, but food in general, very expensive, and that, of course, being because of inflation. If you're in downtown Atlanta today, you are going to notice this right here. There's a lot happening. There's tons of runners taking taking to the streets of downtown Atlanta and around the whole Mercedes-Benz Stadium complex right there, because this right here is the 2025 marathon. It's the Publix Marathon weekend. There's a 5K that just took place earlier today, and then tomorrow is that big marathon. They're expecting upwards of 11,000 runners across all of the events. They're saying this is one of the largest turnouts since 2020. So if you are in downtown Atlanta, enjoy the sights and sounds, but also give yourself some extra time if you're just trying to get yourself around the city, because you're definitely going to encounter some road closures and whatnot. Keep that in mind as you make your way out and about. All right, so that's a look at some of your top stories, and of course we're taking a look at your forecast, and we want to bring in Cutter Martin right now with a look at that, because it is a good day to get out and do some brunching, do some lunching. What else do you want to do? You want to go to one of the parks, for example? I think you're here. Let's bring you on in, and I'm going to pop you up right here, okay?
Alrighty.
There you go.
Yeah, and then we just got to make sure the mic is
that
up
one
too.
Right there. I think we got it right.
We'll have a little party. Yeah, should be good. Actually, a good chunk of the First Alert Weather team is going to be headed on out here as we get into the afternoon. We're gonna hit up the Beltline. It's gonna be fun. Super fun with all the sunshine and temperatures in the 70s. Again, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous out there. It's going to get a little windy, so if you are an allergy sufferer, if you have any issues, with pollen, definitely going to be a little congested today. That's the small price to pay, right, with conditions as nice as they are going into the afternoon. So certainly a lot to watch in the First Alert forecast. All is looking good. I will continue to keep you updated. Going to set up my weather graphics here, and then we'll be good to go. In the meantime, if you're streaming on YouTube, give us a holler. Let us know you're watching. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, again, we are streaming right now on Atlanta News First YouTube page. Here to keep you updated. You can also simply text us. All you have to do is text 470-777-9263. Again, that is 470-777-9263 or WANF. And right now, going back to the chat, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything right off the bat. Doesn't look like anyone has said anything just yet. But again, watching that chat stream, also our text line, basically. And if you do have any weather questions, comments, concerns, feel free to give me a holler at any point during through the duration of this stream. Before we get to the forecast, let's take a live look outside. It is absolutely stunning on Lake Lanier right now. Temperatures up that way are already in the 60s and continuing to climb. And as we get into the afternoon, there's a chance, Gainesville, Lake Lanier, going to get close to the 70-degree mark. I think we're in the 70s for the city of Atlanta. And south of town, mid to upper 70s. So there's going to be a range in temperatures across North Georgia this afternoon, because we actually do have some cooler weather in the First Alert forecast. That cooler weather really making its presence known as we get into the afternoon, more so late afternoon, evening. So around dinner time, if you have any plans, make sure you do bring out the coats. All right, here come our First Alert weather graphics. We're going to start with current temperatures and then head on over to the forecast, walk you hour by hour, and then more on that First Alert weather day that Don was talking about on Wednesday, rain and storms in the forecast. All the more reason to get outside and enjoy the nice weather while it is here. And speaking of nice, again, current temperatures right now, very, very comfortable and only getting warmer. You can see all the green on the map. That has, when you see green like that, a little cooler in the deeper greens, in the blues, upper 50s to near 60s. Some of our mountain communities, highest of elevation is still in the upper 40s, lower 50s, but quickly warming up. So when you see those conditions out there, that sort of color, it's feeling nice outside, and it will only get warmer from here. Temperatures continuing to warm into the afternoon. We've warmed, a few degrees, 3-4 degrees, just in the past few hours here. Really 1 hour. And we've warmed in the city of Atlanta only about 10 to 15 degrees from this morning. Kind of a crazy range in temperatures across the area this morning. Somewhere in the 30s, somewhere in the 50s, thanks to a light breeze and some clouds kind of mixing temperatures around basically. LaGrange woke up to upper 30s around 6 a.m. You're already in the mid-60s, so you've already warmed nearly 30 degrees, and it is still early. The day is still young. and temperatures will continue to climb as we get into the afternoon. Now, where do we top out today? Again, warmest south, coolest north. We have some chillier air filtering back into North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. That's why our mountain communities will be cooler. That is why North Metro communities will be cooler. Upper 60s Rome, Canton 67, even North Fulton, maybe 70 or so, barely getting to that mark this afternoon. Gainesville in the upper 60s, but pushing 70, especially south end of Lake Lanier. 73 your forecast high in LaGrange, 76 in Eatonton, so warmest, and from Monticello up to Jasper, Georgia or so, Eatonton area, Clark and Oconee County is kind of the edge between low to mid 70s. Good day to get outside, but I do want to let you know, speaking of the allergy issues here, winds are going to be gusting 25 to 35 miles an hour this afternoon, so feeling great. Maybe that breeze adding to the cool factor North Metro and mountains, making it feel a little chillier, but when you're in the 70s and you have a breeze, low humidity, feeling nice. The downside to the wind, and not only our pollen levels probably going to spike a little bit today, but also the risk for wildfires or even contained fires to become out of control and uncontained is greater. So keep that in mind. We do have breezy winds in the forecast today, higher fire danger today. So breezy winds, greater fire risk. That's in today's forecast. Again, kind of the highlights, what we're tracking for you. We'll go ahead and put it up on the screen here for you now. Breezy winds and that greater fire risk continues through the early afternoon hours, really through mid-afternoon. And then as we get into the evening, that's when conditions will begin to improve as winds die down just a little bit and our relative humidity, moisture in the air starts to come up just a bit. So long story short, no outdoor burning today. Avoid it. Don't do it. I know there's a lot of cleanup after storms. If you're out, outside the city of Atlanta in a more rural spot, it may be apt to burn that in a pile. Today, though, is not the day to do that. Those winds, not only gusty, they're pulling in much, much colder air. We're going to wake up to widespread low to mid 30s in the metro tomorrow morning. Mountains probably going to wake up to 20. So talk about a big drop in temperature. A nearly 40-degree difference in temperature between this afternoon and tomorrow morning. Big change. Kind of that time of year where we see big fluctuations in temperature between, morning and afternoon and also just day to day. And you can see that right here in the First Alert 7-day forecast, with tomorrow staying in the 50s, breezy wind, sunshine. So still a gorgeous day, but much cooler than today. Not as comfortable to be outside. We're back in the 60s after a cold start Monday, Tuesday, 70s, but with clouds. Could be a few afternoon sprinkles, very spotty light rain. And then we're watching Wednesday, a First Alert weather day. Line of rain and storms moving through. Obviously the only day in that First Alert 7-day forecast that has weather that could be a little rough. We'll break out that day out of the First Alert forecast. Again, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Waking up, nice Tuesday, but by 4 p.m., lots of clouds, few sprinkles. Still pretty quiet through dinner time Tuesday, but storms technically rolling in late Tuesday evening to the wee hours of Wednesday morning. So much like our severe weather event a couple weeks ago at this point, we could be dealing with an early kind of overnight risk of severe weather, gusty winds, damaging winds, and possibly a few tornadoes. Solid line of storms moving through here. So everyone's going to get stormed on. Could wake you up early Wednesday morning. And in some places, especially metro and points east, some of the storm activity could very well linger into the morning commute. So slower morning commute, heavy rain, lots of lightning, breezy winds at the very least, and a few of these storms will pack a greater punch. Damaging wind gusts, isolated tornadoes, a possibility as we get into Wednesday morning. And then after that line of storms moves through, you guessed it, behind that front, that line of storms, cooler air filters in. If you're watching the Braves on Gray, Peachtree TV, if you're watching from Metro Atlanta, feeling like spring training sort of weather out there, a little cooler. We're snapping back to the 50s, mornings in the 30s to near 40. Keeping it relatively cool, but still technically, a degree or two warmer than average Friday. And we're warming back up heading into next weekend. Want to remind you, as the First Alert weather team continues to refine the forecast, update the forecast, we'll be passing along updates in the First Alert weather app, streaming like this one on Atlanta News First Plus, also at AtlantaNewsFirst.com and on TV. First Alert meteorologist J.D. Disharoon is in the house this evening. He'll be streaming for you today at 4:30. And then we have our newscast on Atlanta News First. Also, he'll be updating the First Alert weather app. I want to thank you for tuning in and for watching. Get outside like these folks up on Lake Lanier right now. One person with their doggo there getting on the boat. It's a gorgeous day to do so. Keep in mind, winds a little gusty on area lakes this afternoon. That is about the only thing that'll keep it from being a perfect 10 out on the water, but still a great day to get outside and enjoy the weather.